Hello, welcome to Central Florida Salute YouTube. I have another guest today who is also a member of the Faces of the Distinguished Flying Cross, a great organization. It's a great book. It's on Amazon, and we've talked about that in the past. But my first time meeting Doug O'Connell, and you're United States Navy, is that correct?
Yes, I was, Navy.
You want to tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from?
Originally, I was born in Everett, Massachusetts, and lived there for a few years, and then moved over to Watertown, Massachusetts, where I was raised. I had absolutely no connection with aviation at that time. So my mother died, and my birth mother died early when I was 4, so there was a lot of turmoil at that point. And finally my father remarried, and we kind of got back to a normal life again. But I still can remember a little bit about World War II. Even as a child, I can remember seeing aircraft flying overhead, but that was the closest I ever came to aircraft.
Yeah.
So once I finished high school, I went off to college, and I had the good fortune of having 2 of my floor mates in the university were in the NROTC program. And I had never heard of it, in spite of the fact that I had been in communication with advisors in high school. I never knew about the ROTC program and the ability to start a military career that way. So I became more and more interested in it. And then I became interested in the A4 aircraft, because I started reading a little bit about what the mission was and how many missions it had, from close air support to nuclear delivery to standard bombing, and found out that that really intrigued me. And
This is the F4 you're talking about?
A4.
Pardon me?
A4 Skyhawk.
A4 Skyhawk.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the plane, but
It's a single engine, single seat attack aircraft, and it's been around. It started developing in the 1950s, and it's still flying in some service units, as well as.
now is it primarily an attack fighter
Yes.
type?
Yes, exactly. It did have a fighter role at one time. They armed it up with sidewinders, and they did that. But it's basically an attack aircraft. So once I kind of zeroed in on that, then I went back and applied for the NROTC back during my freshman year in college, and was accepted. Went back to school and wrapped it all up. I spent 1 cruise on the USS Essex, and then I spent the last cruise on the USS Shangri-La. And that was,
So this plane that you flew, you were on a carrier.
oh yes,
Oh, I said, well, like I say, I don't know the plane. So you were a carrier pilot. Oh, all right.
yes. And the final midshipman cruise was on the Shangri-La in the Mediterranean, and it had a full complement of A4s and F4 and F in the fighter version of the A4. So it was very, very interesting for me, because that's where I was headed. So once I was accepted into the aviation program, but they didn't have a slot for me in Pensacola at the time, so I was sent off on the USS Okinawa. And the Okinawa was a landing platform helicopter. And we were absolutely loaded with Marine helicopters and Marine amphibious forces. And we were in the middle of the Cuban Missile Crisis, which was a pretty exciting period of time to be in the Navy. So I was down there, and fortunately, when that was released by Khrushchev's backing off on the missiles, I finished up that temporary assignment and went off to Pensacola. Once I got that, then I had my wings and I was off to Norfolk, Virginia, and had spent the time at Naval Air Station Oceana, and that was the beginning of my tour in the A4. So after that, I was shipped off into the Mediterranean and for my first cruise, and then we came back from the Mediterranean on that cruise and made a pretty quick turnaround to another cruise back to the Mediterranean. And once we got there, we spent our 9 months, and then a quick turnaround back. We came back to the States after that, and there was a program then to swap junior officers from one coast to another. And when we got there, I took a 1-month tour to travel across the country into my new squadron, which was Attack Squadron 23 on the West Coast. And we had a couple of months markup, and I was back at sea again, off to Vietnam.
So you got your Distinguished Flying Cross from what you did in Vietnam?
Yes.
And how long were you in Vietnam? And what was your mission in Vietnam?
Originally, when we left the States, we were expecting to be working what's called a Yankee Station and Dixie Station. And that's where they had a carrier positioned off the coast of South Vietnam and North Vietnam. That's when I would have had the ability to work in the same sphere that your previous guest was working in. We would have been having an opportunity to do close air support for the troops that were in South Vietnam. En route to the Pacific, we got word that Dixie Station was being eliminated, that we would be flying North Vietnam only. So we were in Yankee Station and off to North Vietnam. So essentially all of the flights that I had were over North Vietnam. So there was
no more nice cruise over south. We got going going to the juggler now.
Yeah, we went into that. And that was the most heavily defended anti-aircraft environment that was known up to that point in time. And they had enormous numbers of anti-aircraft artillery and the SA-2 missile. So every trip in was always an excitement.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, if you're going right into the heart of the enemy. Yeah, is what you're doing.
It was kind of interesting that I remember my first mission. Of course, you always remember your first trip in, and we went in and we were attacking a rail yard in Dien Bien, North Vietnam. And as I was in the dive, all I could see in front of the aircraft and around the aircraft were tracers. And of course, tracers are one every 6 or 7. And it came through it, and didn't get hit. But it was an interesting introduction to North Vietnam.
Oh yeah, it was quite a welcome.
Yeah, it was quite a welcome. And so I flew 75 or 76 missions in North Vietnam. And with a couple of exceptions, when the weather was so bad, we had to transit over to Laos to help out over there. But
we were never in Laos.
But we were never in Laos.
No,
we never were there. And, but that was basically my North Vietnam experience.
Yeah, I would imagine that's some kind of an experience. But you never got hit. Did you ever get hit?
Yes, I did. But fortunately, well, that was the most I got hit was on the mission where I got the Distinguished Flying Cross, because I had some problems with missiles on that one, and that was a mission that when we were assigned it, none of us were really pleased about the assignment because it was in the late afternoon. And there were 3 missile sites in North Vietnam that had been raising a little bit of havoc with our inbound. And so they decided that they wanted to eliminate those 3. So they chose 6 aircraft, and 2 of the sections were to get 2 of the two of the missile sites, and our section was to be a decoy and then hit the third. And so it's one of those things that we didn't like doing in the late afternoon, because the North Vietnamese would move the missile sites as soon as the day was done. They had basic sites all over the country, and they'd move the equipment. So the next day you didn't know exactly where they were until they did something like shoot at you from those sites. So, but we knew where these were, so we were tasked with going in there, and we knew that, of course, late afternoon they're just going to unload everything that they've got in reserve, because there's no reason not to, because they're going to move very shortly. So we went in, and we came under fire immediately. As soon as we crossed the coastline, we were under fire, and there were missiles coming at both the first two attack sections in my section, which was my wingman and myself. And on that one, the missiles were coming at us, and we made the standard maneuver to shake the missile. And at the end of it, my wingman lost sight of me, because it was a very, very hazy day. It was one of those days where in North Vietnam you can get a haze. It's very difficult to see, and he lost sight of me when I made the last ditch maneuver, because I was down at I'd been pressed all the way down at 500 feet, and I looked out behind me, and the three missiles were coming right up my tail. So I rolled inverted and dived down, and almost lost it in a tree, but managed to just come across the top of the tree, and the missiles dumped into the rice paddy behind me. But interestingly, when I came off the target, they were reloading, and we can tell there are different frequencies that we can hear. That we know what they're doing, and they were reloading, and they had us under search radar again. So we knew we were being targeted on the next round, and but fortunately, I was able to get up and continue on inbound, and I found the site and fired and put it out.
When you did going after a target like that, how many aircraft? It wasn't just you, right? You had a couple of.
Well, there were 6 aircraft in this particular one.
Oh, okay.
But there can be up to 20 to 30 aircraft on a major strike.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a huge, what they would call an alpha strike. So we would gather all together and go in. This would be a major target, like a big rail yard or something similar to that. So those were kind of the things that we had to deal with up there. One of the flights I had with my good friend and colleague Mike Cronin. We were again going after missile sites, and it's one of the few times I landed, about the only time I landed in South Vietnam. But we went after the missile site, and I pulled up to launch our missile, and it failed to come off the rails. And I looked behind me, and I looked over at Mike's airplane, and a missile went off right behind his tail. Another one went off right behind me, and it was enough of a shockwave that pushed me back into the seat. So I went over and looked at his airplane, and I says, "Let's get out of here," because this is we have nothing left right now. And so we got out over water, and then he said, "I don't think I want to take this back to the ship." So I said, "Okay, let's go down to Da Nang." So we flew down to Da Nang, and he got there and landed, and he was just about burning through on the tailpipe. So,
wow.
So unfortunately, Mike got shot down later and wound up in the Hanoi Hilton for about 5 or 6 years. So.
What was his name?
Mike Cronin.
Okay,
Yeah.
I did one with Captain Charlie Plum. Did you ever hear of Captain Charlie Plum?
I think.
He was in the Hanoi Hilton.
Yeah.
He wrote a book, I'm No Hero. He says, my hero was the guy who packed my parachute.
Yeah. So there were some exciting times up in the north. And,
I'll bet, yeah. So how many missions you think you?
I had 75 or 76, and I keep forgetting which one it is, but I was only over there for one cruise, and some of our members in our group were over there for a long time, and they have a couple hundred missions. Mine is relatively short, but then we shipped back to the United States, and that was it for me. Then I was supposed to end up coming off sea duty, so at that point I decided I had been at sea for the entire time of my Navy career at that point, so I left and went to commercial flying.
Oh, really? Who would you fly with?
I started off with National Airlines, and they were purchased by Pan American. Flew with them for about 1/3 of the career, and then the parts of Pan American were sold off to Delta, so I flew for all three airlines, about equal time on each one.
Oh. So is that what you did until you retired?
Until I retired, yeah.
So you have a lot of time in the seat.
Yeah, a little bit north of about 18,000 hours, something like that.
Wow.
So that's not as many hours as some of the folks that flew long range back in the propeller days, where they really got the time.
Yeah. So you were in for 5 years, you say, active?
In 5 years, and then I was in the reserves for another 4. Inactive for a couple, and then active for a couple.
So you got called up?
No, I went back.
You went back?
I just volunteered to go back. Yeah. I particularly.
You missed it, huh?
I missed the A4. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It was a marvelous airplane. It could bring you home most of the time. Direct hits, it would take it out, of course, but most of the time the guys could bring it back. I remember one of our squadron mates took a hit in the wing. It was in the left wing, and it's only about 30 feet. It's a very small airplane, and took a hit in the left wing and opened up a hole, and he got it back to the ship and suggested that he might want to eject, but the sea state wasn't that great, and he didn't feel like he wanted to jump out of the airplane.
You didn't feel like you wanted to swim.
So he landed on the carrier, and the hole was large enough that I could stand in it.
Wow.
It's only a 30-foot wing, you know. So,
wow.
So there were some really interesting things about the A4 that could bring you back.
Yeah. I was, my career was, I only did 4 years in the Air Force, but I was a mechanic. I didn't fly. I wish I had, but
yeah,
that's the way it goes. You know, so you did retire from the airline, and you moved to down here, because I see you're a member now. How long have you been a member of the?
Yeah, I've been a member for a couple of years. I didn't realize that it existed for several years that I was here, and then finally I did find out about it. And so I joined up, I guess, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, somewhere in that vicinity.
Well, it's a great organization. They do a lot, like for scholarships and everything too. And so you're in the 3rd edition. I have one. I have edition 1 and edition 3. But before you leave, edition 3 is you're going to have to autograph my book.
Okay, good deal.
Yeah.
Okay, be happy to do it.
Is there one particular mission you were on that really stands out, or?
Yeah, the one where I was awarded the DFC. That was the one.
The one where you were what?
The DFC. That was the mission that I described earlier, where I couldn't shake the missiles. Almost crashed into the tree. Picked up the ground fire from there.
You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. You know.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it was a nice career, short as it was. And it's nice being down here in the villages. And I do I do quite a bit of work at the Florida National Cemetery where I get to meet and greet veterans.
Oh, you go up to the National Cemetery?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you, is the bell tower still working?
It is, and
you guys-
the latest I heard is that it's back in operation.
Yeah, and you know why?
It's
My AMVETS post, I brought it over there. My AMVETS post, AMVETS
yeah,
paid to have it repaired.
yes.
So Doug Gardner, you know Doug?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now I think it's working as it's supposed to be working.
That's great. That's
yeah.
great.
I think it's like 8:30, 4:30, and 6:30 it comes on. And
Yeah.
plays a medley of tunes.
We did a show up there when they put the Vietnam Veterans Monument there, and they were adding more. I don't know. I also did a thing when I was up there with the ladies. What is it? Daughters of the American Revolution.
They had.
Yeah.
They had.
We had them on, you know.
Yeah, they had.
But is there any one they added lately, or what's the last one they added?
I think the Vietnam was the last one that they had.
Yeah, because I know they're working on a lot more
Yes, they are.
for
yeah.
Afghanistan, Iraq, and everything.
Yeah, yeah. Doug Gardner's very, very active in that.
Oh, Doug's a great guy. He's a great guy.
He is.
And as a matter of fact, when we did the ones for Vietnam veterans, he says, "Bob, I want to get my mom in the camera." So we took a picture to make sure his mom was there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Doug is a good guy, and I know he they do a lot of good things up there. It's a beautiful cemetery.
Yeah, he and his wife also volunteer at the Public Information Center where we help veterans.
Do you work there?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've been in there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I work here, and we've got a really wonderful cadre of volunteers that man that operation.
Do you know basically how many people are laid to rest there?
A little over 202,000.
202,000?
Yes.
Wow. I knew it was big, but I didn't realize it was that big.
Yeah, it's the second busiest cemetery, VA cemetery in the country.
Yeah, Arlington's the first.
It's an Army cemetery. The VA cemetery is the busiest is Riverside, California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's great that you do help out there.
Yeah.
And
I get to hear a lot of stories from a lot of vets who.
I bet you do, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very.
You know where you could get a lot more stories? On Central Florida Salute YouTube.
Yes. Okay. That sounds
And
good.
you're going to be one of them.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Well, thank you for the opportunity to come in and share a few words.
Oh, yeah. I mean, thank you for your service and what you've done. And I can't picture dodging missiles like that, you know. But that's why you guys are members of the Distinguished Flying Cross, because you took a challenge. I think we're going to wrap it up, unless you have something else you want to add.
Don't think so.
Well, I hope you enjoy your time in the villages.
Thank you. It's been pleasurable so far.
Yeah, I know you guys are doing great work. Once again, I said it in the other show, and I'll say it on this one. You can get it on Amazon. You're still helping by doing scholarships. You served your country, and now you're helping the young people. And so I encourage people to buy the book. I've got mine. I've got two of them. I got the first edition and the third edition. So, okay. Well, listen. Let's get this on camera.
Okay.
You got to sign my book. I've got several autographs. I have Joe Finch's, Barney Barnhart, Ken Taylor. I got a couple others, but I can't think of what they are right now. But one of these days I'm going to go into a meeting. They have a meeting every fourth Friday, right, Joe?
Fourth Friday, that's right.
Yeah, and that's where you all meet, so I bring my book down there and get them all signed.
There you go.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you, sir. I got my autograph there, sir. Oh, isn't that how he does it? You got to do it like this. Well, we're going to say goodbye, Doug.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, listen, it's been an honor to meet guys like you and Joe and all your members of the Distinguished Flying Cross, but it's time to say goodbye. And you saw how I did it with Joe.
Yep.
We're going to look right at that camera where that lovely lady is. And so all our veterans out there, active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time, nice job. Today I'm at AMVETS Post 2006, a major sponsor of Central Florida Salute. And I want to introduce to you the commander here, Ronnie Mack. Ronnie, tell us a little bit about AMVETS 2006. Where are you located? And
we are at 500 North Canal Street, Leesburg, Florida. It's right off of 441, between 441 and Main Street on Canal. Can't miss us. And we're a veterans organization, along with, we have an auxiliary, and we have sons of veterans that are related some form or another to a veteran. And we do a lot for a lot of charitable donations and stuff to charities in the area and in the county. And we're a major sponsor to Central Florida Salute. We're proud of it. We're glad to be. You guys do a heck of a job, and we'll sponsor you as long as I'm here. We're going to sponsor you. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, we do. Sue and I really appreciate it. We're a two-person operation, and what we try to do with education and supporting our veterans community, and you supporting us, is major thing. It's major.
We're glad to do it, Bob. We're glad to do it.
And you have sons here. You have auxiliary here. You've got a website too, if somebody wants to join.
Yep, it's don't punch into www. It's amvets-2006.org, and it'll take you right to our website, Facebook page, and all that's there, and you'll be able to find that. The webmaster, he tries to get the calendar on there every month, anything pertinent. There's a lot of other links on there for veterans to find out where to get help for certain claims and stuff like that. Our webmaster's really into that stuff. That's the guy you ought to be interviewing right there. So,
well, you know what,
he's got
Ronnie?
a lot of stuff.
You have a lot of clout. You tell him to talk to me, and we'll get him on the show. Okay?
I can do that.
All right. But I just want to, on behalf of Sue and myself, we want to thank AMVETS 2006 because you guys are the major players behind us, and we appreciate it.
But we just wish we could do more. We really do.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys are awesome.